Here's an update, and I'm doing pretty good in many ways, and there's many ways I could do better, but I think the thing to be said about this is summed up pretty good by the phrase "Omae shindeiru." You're already dead. So there's several strategies for dealing with tomato disease, and you can start to see it, but there's just so much green. There's so much foliage. They're growing so fast. So these are buried maybe an inch or two below where they were planted. And you could put some more soil on them, but they're doing pretty good. And so one form of disease, we see some leaves curling, and you can put up with that. I think I could have dealt with that better. This could also be a lesson in things to do better. You don't really want your mower blowing dust on these plants. So especially if you've got diseased earth or something like from other plantings, you might be, there's a couple strategies that you just cover it so you don't get any splash up. I've had a hard rain and stuff just splashed up on them, but to a certain extent it doesn't matter. I think I can find some plants that have a blight going on already. So a little bit of, see these spots here. You can see a lot of them down here. And that's going to race up to the top. But you think of Fist of the North Star, you're already dead. Omae shindeiru. It's like, if you're talking to this guy and you've already applied the thing that's going to kill him, there's no need to introduce your name. There's no point, right? But he had a brother who knew these techniques, and he was a deformed monster, and his head was constantly on the verge of exploding. He was able to be an annoyance and continue on through applying similar techniques and shutting down certain parts of his body. So speed of growth actually matters in this situation. You can do a lot with that. There's a failure to find a sucker. It happens. If you let them get too big, you just think that's wasted growth that could have been put into a different area. So if I was for serious, extra for serious, so I mean, you come at this from different angles. There's different things that you can do at different levels for adding to tomato plants. One of the most important ones that I'm actually demonstrating, my mother has put in tons and tons of work on a garden that has just terrible soil and gets very few results. And that just didn't make much sense at all. So, I mean, if you're going to put tons of work into plants, you might as well have good soil that produces a little something and match that. So I've got that going on, and so the work I put in is validated by work I've previously done that matches it. And then there are things that I'm not doing. So, I do need a path, and I was thinking I need like walk stones or something, because I don't need to be growing stuff in there. But I've got a path that a mower barely fits down, and so I'm spewing all this stuff up onto the tomato plants. Not ideal for disease. Another thing that you need to do, if you don't want your tomatoes to crack, you've got to have a consistent water supply with consistent levels of wetness, and so you're not drying out the top to where it's got to send roots down way deep, and then the roots way down deep get flooded out and start rotting. You don't want that. You want a consistent area between the water table and the dry stuff. So I could put mulch on there, and that would do two things. So you can probably do some things like maybe horse poop or something would make the soil have better bacteria. You can grow better bacteria. And I think I've got a lot of that going on with rotting down various things in there. But, there's some things you can do there. And then there's some things you can do to just cover it up. Don't have any splash up, don't have any dust blowing on your plants. You cover that up with mulch. You can perhaps properly manage the heat of the compost to where it's just a little hot and you have warm enough soil when you start out. I think I might have magically done that before. But that's just it's magic as far as I can tell. You want warm soil for these plants. I've had a neighbor who I respect a lot who waited to put a cover on his soil for fear that the soil wouldn't warm up. So that's a compromise coming at you from both angles, and I can almost justify not putting cover on there. But at this point, it's just I'm lazy. I've got priorities or something. But you want acidic soil and you want calcium. I don't know anything to put on there that's not basic, that's calcium. So I'm a little confused by that one as well. But there are various angles you want to come at from. But at this point, the soil's all warm. I need to put some cover on there, like those leaves. I need to go grab some. If I had a big truck, I might be in business and do that. So, but yeah, there's various levels of work you can put in, and you've got some ideas. If you want tomatoes like this next year, now's the time to start adding soil amendments and making a place. When it was Halloween last year, people were looking at this and they're seeing 4 graves here. And then I had some neighbors come along and put some crosses on them for us, and it's on Facebook and everything like that. I've never seen it, but I found these crosses on there. So I was doing mysterious things as far as people are concerned. Really, you're not planting, why are you preparing the soil? Well, preparing the soil takes time. And that's one thing that will definitely yield results, as you can see. So, and it is a race, as I like to point out. So you might think, oh, well, you produce so you're not going to have a late season if the blight catches up to the top. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to produce. And so that's one strategy for actually dealing with disease, is just to outgrow it, as far as I can tell. So preparing soil will always be something. There's no contradictory indicator as far as I can tell, except maybe the leaves curling under, and I'm not sure what that's caused by. I'm not talking about leaf curl. I'm talking about these top ones that grow out, and maybe they don't have the sun to direct them, and then they go under, and then they curl around some weird way, as opposed to just growing out straight and spreading out. They just kind of form a column instead of some sort of scaffolding. Anyway, bye.